So when buying a house, it's a major milestone. And it's also a very exciting time, but also a very stressful time. And one of the most important aspects of going through purchasing a house is understanding the jargon. Even when you first start looking for a home, it's important to understand all the terms that are out there so that you'll be better prepared when they pop up during the transaction. So we put together 15 terms we thought were important for first-time home buyers or people who haven't bought a home for a while to understand to make the process much smoother. And the first one is, of course, simply a listing. What is a listing? Well, a listing is simply a home for sale. And then when you do find a house, you're going to want to understand some lending terms that you're going to come across from your lender. Of course, a down payment is always important to understand. The down payment is just what a lender looks at when they're considering you for what rate you get, how much you're going to be putting down, affects all of that and affects the terms, and it's understanding that a down payment is different than, say, what you give to escrow for earnest money. So a down payment is money that you're committing to put down when you purchase the home, and earnest money is money that you're committing to that goes into escrow, showing that you're very earnest about the home and you're putting that money in jeopardy. But a good agent's going to make sure you keep that money all the way through closing so you can use it towards the purchase price of the home. So it is yours, and it's important to understand the difference of those two. And then we'll look at what's called a credit score. I think everybody's heard that. Everybody understands it, but it's important to keep that in mind, that it's only one criteria that a lender will look at when they're considering what rate you're going to qualify for and other terms of the loan. And it's important to understand and maintain that and know what that is so that you can control it and be aware of what it is and how it affects your ability to get credit. Then there's the first fixed rate mortgage versus adjustable rate mortgage. So they call it an ARM, which stands for adjustable rate mortgage. And then there's the appraisal. Of course, that's what the bank or the lender is required to perform. A third party goes out and looks at the house to make sure the lender is getting a fair price for the house and the house is worth what you're paying for. And then we know there's different types of offers. There's the offer that we make to the seller, which is the terms and conditions. It's a contract that we present to the seller. And then there's the counter offer, which would be the offer that comes back from the seller countering your offer. And then, of course, there's a backup offer. So we may find a house that there's already an offer in, and there's a counter offer coming back, and a counter offer going back and forth, and they're not coming to terms. We can often put in a backup offer if we have time, so that if that transaction falls out of contract, then our offer can be a backup offer. We talked a little bit about escrow. Escrow is simply the company that holds the earnest money and ensures it's a third party that gets the instructions from the purchase and sale agreement and carries those out for both parties. And then there's the seller's disclosures. It's called a Form 17. It's not everything about the property, it's just everything that the seller does know. And then there's the inspection, which is different than the appraisal. The appraisal comes from the bank and is looking at the worth of the home. The inspection is making sure that there are no hidden defects with the home that the disclosures didn't reveal or that we couldn't find during our walkthrough visually. And it's a much more detailed process than the appraisal, but it is looking upstairs, in the attic, in the crawl spaces, testing out all the appliances, and it is paid by you, not the lender, and it's something that we recommend everyone having an inspection to make sure there are no hidden defects with the home. A little bit about closing costs. Closing costs are a normal part of every transaction. The seller has their closing costs and the buyer has their closing costs, so it's important to understand that when you go to purchase a home, there are costs involved with the escrow company and the title company and appraisers and other fees that go into making sure the contract is valid, the contract is fulfilled, and it's usually a few percentage points of the sale of the house, of the selling price of the house, and can be negotiated, of course, but there are costs to actually close it, the transaction. And then there's being under contract, which means that our contract was accepted and that we're now going to proceed with inspection. We're going to proceed with obtaining the official loan, making sure it's underwritten, getting the appraisal. So under contract means that there's mutually accepted contract and we're moving forward with purchasing the house. And then of course there's the pre-approval letter, which brings us all the way back to the beginning. It's the first thing you want to do is get a pre-approval letter, talk to a lender, make sure that you're ready and able to buy a house, and that this is the right time for you, and get an idea what the terms might be before you even get started. We want to make sure you have that in hand before we start looking at houses, so that if you find something, you can move on it rather quickly with confidence. So there's a number of terms that we think are important to understand. A good agent is going to make sure that they communicate with you throughout, and we're excited to provide you with this information. Hopefully it's helpful, and you can refer back to it at any time. But we look forward to helping you any way we can to help you get into the house of your dreams in this market.